Hare Krishna. Is my audio okay, everyone?
Yes, audible
Yes,
clearly.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today morning. Let's continue with our journey of learning Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters in 80 session. And today we'll be discussing chapter 12, which is titled as Devotional Service or Bhakti Yoga. So, so this particular chapter, we'll be talking about Bhakti Yoga, exclusive Bhakti Yoga, or Kevala Bhakti. It's so Bhakti can be mixed. It can be mixed with motive. We've seen four type of people who come to Krishna, and those are those who are in distress, those who want some material benefit, those who are jigyasu, and those who are gyanis. So it can be jnana mishra bhakti, karma mishra bhakti, and so whatever is mishra, it's called alloy, and whatever is without mishra, without that mixture, it's called unalloyed devotional service. So beautiful verses. We'll take a quick look at 10th chapter, Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam udha bhava samanvitaha macchitta madgata pranaha bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha तेषां सतत युक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन माम उपयान्ति ते तेषाम् एवं अनुकंपार्थम अहम अज्ञानम अजम तमः नाशयम आत्ममावस्तो ज्ञान दीपेन भास्वता. So these four verses Krishna spoke, and we also discussed about the importance of a practical application of the knowledge, that learning about greatness of Krishna is not is required but not sufficient, because unless we translate those that knowledge into action, we are not going to get much benefit out of that knowledge. So this is important, and we come to Bhakti Yoga, the devotional service or Bhakti Yoga, the chapter for 12, which we'll be discussing today. When we started learning Bhagavad Gita, and there was all of us, I did a exercise with all of you, and a lot of people, a lot of a lot of new devotees from our group Bhagavad Gita in 18 session, they responded. And the question that I asked was, why did you came to study of Bhagavad Gita? Why you thought studying Bhagavad Gita is necessary? And a lot of people gave different answers. And, we asked that question specifically with reference to the, the verse that Arto, Jigyasu, Artharthi, and Gyani. So a lot of people actually gave reasons, they saying that they had more than one reason why they came to Krishna consciousness. And so basically none of those reasons were to to basically the concept of, all of us had different conceptions about Bhagavad Gita. My personally speaking, even I had different conception about Bhagavad Gita, that Bhagavad Gita probably contains knowledge to all my problems. And in the material world, we have many problems. We have our our the problems, तीन ताप जिसे कहते हैं कि आध्यात्मिक क्लेशा, आधिदैविक क्लेशा, and adhibhautik kleshas. So these kleshas will always be there, even if otherwise materially we will lead an opulent life. But these three kleshas and janma mrityu jara vyadhi, these seven things will be there for everyone, and none of those these seven things are not very pleasant for anybody. जन्म होना भी प्लीजेंट नहीं होता है. The baby who takes birth, stays in the womb for 9 months in upside down hanging position, bitten constantly by the germs in the womb of mother, has completely helpless condition, get feed from mother through an arrangement made by God, and in a completely helpless state, a very pathetic state. It's been hanging and praying to Krishna that please let me come out. I will become your devotee. At least in this lifetime, I will not waste it. I will not, waste it behind sense gratification. And Bhagavatam third canto explains in detail various stages, right from the moment a baby is conceived till baby is delivered, comes out in the world, and the world welcomes the baby and forgets. The baby then forgets all the promises that it had made to Krishna, and then again goes back to the old ways of living, where they become busy in eating, mating, sleeping, defending. That's it. So this is problem. Janma, mrityu, death is definitely a problem. We all are worried about our own death. We are all, become worried when somebody who we loved, who we care for, leave their body. So we are always protective of our loved ones so that they don't get any harm, and none of them actually dies. And so we try our best. We spend people spend their lifetime savings, and just to with the hope that they will get few extra years to live. And so janma mrityu is definitely a big problem, and we understand, all of us understand, that it's an unavoidable problem, even though we live in the world assuming it will never come to us. And then jara, old age is a problem. All of us suffer from old age. Every day we are growing old. Every day we are growing closer to the inevitable death, and every day we are being surrounded by different diseases. So janma mrityu jara vyadhi, then the three kleshas, the kleshas or the distress caused by our own mind and our body, the people around us, the environment in which we live, that causes us problem. So that is adhyatmic klesha, adi bhautik klesha, and adi daivik klesha. The October heat is going on. With the outside temperatures can rise up to 35, 40 degrees Celsius. It's extremely hot. It's extremely difficult um, to go out. If you have to go out in the middle of afternoon, it's going to be very difficult. And it's a problem, and we try and mitigate it, but nevertheless it remains to be a problem. We mitigate it by staying home, switching on ACs, and so on and so forth, but the problem remains. The problem doesn't go away. So janma mrityu jara vyadhi and the three kleshas are the problems. And a lot of us come to and apart from that, we have our own problems arising out of our own colorful karma. We are getting sufferings, we are getting some enjoyments and some sufferings, and the graph is continuously moving up and down, up and down. And we want to have a steady kind of a we want to steady that graph, we want to have a steady lives. And for that, with the hope that we will find some answers in Bhagavad Gita, so that we can steady this up and down movement of our graph of happiness distress, to a constant level of happiness. Can we be assured of some happiness? Can we have some predictability around our life? Can we have some uh, some order in our life? Instead of chaos, we all hope to have some order in our life, and all of us are trying to make some arrangement to create that order. Even if we understand that there can be surprises, but at our level, whatever our level is, we are trying our best to create an order in our life. And for that, we feel probably Bhagavad Gita may have some answers which we can help and create an order in our life, create some predictability in my life, create some peacefulness in my life, create some uh, happiness in my life. And with that hope, we come to the study of Bhagavad Gita. So practically, or essentially, we are looking at using knowledge of Bhagavad Gita for our material happiness. However, Krishna provide us with a solution, yena mam upayanti te, by which they will come to me. I dadami buddhi yogam tvam yena mam upayanti te. Now, this is not why we came to Bhagavad Gita, came to the study of Bhagavad Gita. We never came to study Bhagavad Gita thinking that I want to know the ways and means by which I can stop my repeated birth and repeated death. We before studying Bhagavad Gita, we never thought this to be a problem. This the problem exists. People take birth in front of our eyes. People have died in front of our eyes. But and we understand that there could be some cycle in the progression. However, but we don't think we are part of that, and we definitely don't know that we are very much part of it. And our endeavor should, we can, if we follow the right path, we can escape from the cycle of repeated birth and death. This knowledge just doesn't exist in the material world. So unless one comes to study of Bhagavad Gita and one applies oneself to the study of Bhagavad Gita, one does not get a conception that that you are a jiva, you are a jiva tattva, you are a spiritual spark, you are a spiritual spark, and Krishna is spiritual whole, and you are separated from Krishna. And the purpose of human life is to unite with Krishna in the spiritual world. For that to happen, you need to unite with Krishna in the material world while we are in this body, while we are progressing in this material world, while we are living our life in this material world. Wherever we might be, we can unite with same Krishna in the material world. Because Krishna appears in the material world in form of Archa Vigraha and provide us with an opportunity to render services unto him, so that we can practice in material world what we are supposed to do in the spiritual world. We can serve Archa Vigraha, we can serve devotees, and we can, that becomes our object of worship, that become our object of pleasure. And when we become happy by serving deities and devotees, we become slowly qualified to go back to the spiritual world, because this is what we will do in the spiritual world anyway. So material world is a net practice for us to excel and ultimately go to the spiritual world and do play the real world, play in the real game. Now this is the knowledge that no one thought probably what we will get. So Bhagavad Gita actually brings up this as a surprise element, that suddenly the discussion about war has been left far behind. Discussion about motivational theories have also disappeared. Arjuna is disappoint is distressed, and Krishna instigate Arjuna to fight a war, and this is the theme that was used by many people in the who wrote commentary in the pre-independence era, that they thought our nation is sleeping right now. And just like Arjuna is crying, sitting, thinking nothing can happen to me, nothing good will happen to me, like that our nation is also is in a dull state. And we need to use Bhagavad Gita to instigate them, to induce them to come out on the streets and fight for their independence, so that the Britishers can be thrown out, the British Empire can be thrown out of our country, and we can become independent, and that's how we will become happy. So a lot of commentaries on the pre-independence era on Bhagavad Gita actually focuses on this aspect. So this is where we come to a surprise. Bhagavad Gita poses a surprise. Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita gives us a surprise that all those theories do exist, and Bhagavad Gita can be used for those aspects also. But Bhagavad Gita provide a completely different angle, and the focus is on becoming devotee of Krishna in this lifetime, so that you can go back to Krishna Loka and serve him eternally there, and live happily ever after. Most of our movies end with this title, that they lived happily ever after. This urge to have to live happily ever after comes from our past experience, where we actually were in the spiritual world, but because of the wrong association, wrong desires, we ended up coming in the material world. And in the material world, we are searching a place and a position where we can think that we will live happily ever after in this material world. But Krishna breaks our dream completely, shatters our dream, and says nothing doing. This world is meant for it's labeled this world as Dukkhalaya, a place where only miseries are awaiting us, one after another. When we expect miseries, when we get misery, we get surprised because we think we should not get those miseries. So so that's how in the bewildered state, we live in this world completely bewildered. Why are we being subjected to miseries? Why are we being subjected to the hardships? And that is how, in this confused state of mind, we live. We try and mitigate, or we kind of create some, or try and create some order for ourselves, and we fail. Everyone fails, and everyone departs, and everyone comes back in this material world. Now Krishna is completely, turning this theory upside down, turning our purpose of studying Bhagavad Gita upside down, and saying yena mam upayantite, by which you can come to me. Dadami buddhi yogam tvam, I will give you intelligence by which you can come to me. When will I give intelligence? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam, when you serve me lovingly, when you become my devotee, when you become loving devotee of me and perform devotional service, then I will give you additional intelligence using which you can understand me in tattva, and you can become fixed in my bhakti, and by which you will remember me throughout your life, you will remember me at the end of your life, and then you will come to me. Of this there is no doubt. Now let's understand what does what Krishna has to say in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he is going to describe this pure devotional service. Before that, let's take a quick look back at what we discussed in chapter 11. Chapter 10 ended where Krishna says that by a small fragment of mine, this whole universe is created. Not just one universe. Krishna is known as Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. So unginat universes comes out of his body, and he enters into each of those universe and maintains it, creates it, maintain it, destroy it at his will. And all of this is happening, he's saying, by a small fragment of my energy. Now Krishna, Arjuna, having heard this, um, is wants Arjuna accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, but he want Krishna to demonstrate that aspect also, because so that in the Kali Yuga, the yuga that were to follow Trita Yuga, um, there will be many imposters. Many people will claim themselves to be gods, and for them there should be a criteria from differentiating a bogus god and a real god. A real god is one who can present, demonstrate universal form, and with that in mind, Arjuna requests Krishna to demonstrate universal form. Krishna gives special vision to Arjuna, spiritual vision, so that he can see that form, and Arjuna is seeing that form, and Krishna basically, before demonstrating it, he describes what he is going to show. Just like how we give agenda, today's acronym is God, Godhead, and so we speak about our agenda. Similarly, Krishna explains to Arjuna what he's going to show, and that description comes from 5th to 8th verse. Then Sanjay, who's also witnessing this universal form demonstrated by Krishna, he describes that form to Dhritarashtra. Those that comes from the verses 9 to 14. And then Arjuna himself start describing what he's seeing, what he's feeling, what effect this sight is having on his body and emotions, and what's happening with him. Krishna also demonstrates Kala Rupa to Arjuna. Now, Krishna says that I will demonstrate. So Arjuna gives some specific request to Krishna, and Krishna says, "Okay, whatever you are asking for, I will show you that, and I will also show you that which you have not asked to see. You don't even know that exists, and I will also show you visions of that." Now that was Kala Rupa. Kala Rupa, as time. Krishna says, Kalosmi, Loka Kshaya Krita. Have come appeared for the purpose of Lokakshaya, for the destruction of all these people. All these people have already been killed by me, and I have come as a time immemorial. I am time immemorial. I am time. and that time will have effect on everyone. No matter how dear a person to you, in due course of time, by the influence of time, that person will leave this world. And then from that moment onwards, you lose visibility to that person. You don't know if which form and shape that same person has come back in the material world. We lose track, and we just have that last memory in our mind of the person who left his body in front of us. So Arjuna was shown that Kala Rupa, in which he saw the entire army, entire battlefield has been destroyed, has been killed, and everyone is entering into the mouth of Krishna, including his brothers, including Bhishma, including Drona, except Krishna says, except for you Pandavas, and only seven people survived that Kurukshetra war. Ashwathama, this Pach Pandava, Ashwathama, Krupacharya, and then there was one more brother of Duryodhan, who performed last rites on all the Kauravas. So from the battlefield, only these 7 8 people survived. So Krishna says Krishna showed that form to Arjuna, and seeing that form, Arjuna becomes extremely fearful, and he start offering prayers in a very fearful mood. Krishna says to Arjuna that you are worried about killing these people, but all these people are already dead by my arrangement, because I am time. So you have nothing to fear. So perform your prescribed duty in devotion as a service to me. Becomes my instrument. I have already killed them. And even if you refuse to fight, these people are already dead. They will not go back from the battlefield. So you need to become an instrument. You just become instrument and gain fame, because you are a kshatriya. If you will kill people in the battlefield, you will become famous, and that will increase your kirti, and that will give me pleasure. My devotee becoming famous makes Krishna happy. So that is how Krishna says towards the end in the 50, especially in the 54th and 55th verse, that how Bhakti is supreme. That two-arm form of Krishna is the highest form, and only a devotee can is has capacity to see that form and reciprocate with that form. So Krishna recommends Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti is supreme, and recommends to Arjuna and also to all of us. This brings us to the now supremacy of bhakti yoga was spoke about by Krishna, and he continue with the same theme to explain that bhakti yoga in detail in chapter 12. So bhakti yoga, or devotional service unto his personal form as Shama Sundara. The acronym we'll discuss today is God. G means Godhead. That will be discussed from verses 1 to 7. O is for options. That we will discuss from verse 8 to 12. Options means um, Krishna is a very merciful God, and he's very accommodative. So if you are not at this level, it doesn't mean that you are completely alienated from the bhakti. Krishna wants to accommodate each and every one of us who has some positive inclination towards becoming his devotee. And hence he's given a ladder. Ladder means सीढ़ी. एक लेवल्स होते हैं, उसमें एक टॉप मोस्ट लेवल दिया है, बट देन वन लेवल बिलो, वन लेवल बिलो, वन लेवल बिलो, ऐसे कर करके भगवान ने हमें ऑप्शंस दिए हैं, so that we can fit into any one of this option wherever we find ourselves, and we should know how to move upwards. Then third is D. D stands for devotee's disposition. Now, how a devotee think, feel, and act in the material world while functioning. And that's covered from the verse 13 to 20. Just small chapter, but extremely power packed chapter. Where it's only 20 verses, but all verses are extremely knowledgeable, extremely informative and instructive. A lot to learn for all of us from these uh, 20 verses. Another small chapter is chapter 15. Beautiful chapter. Another only 20 verses, but extremely crucial. It's considered to be the summary of entire Bhagavad Gita. Very beautiful chapter. The 20 verses can be discussed for 20 hours or more by senior devotees. But we'll try to do it in 2 hours as we are doing right now also. But know that this is not enough. What you have heard and studied and thought, that this is not sufficient. We should hope, we should we should aspire to learn Bhagavad Gita in detail. And then only some learning can happen, which can be then practically applied for our benefit. Chapter begins by Arjuna asking a question that evam satata yukta ye bhaktastvam paryupasate ye chapya aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. So clearly, Arjuna is inquiring, and he is giving two options to Krishna and asking Krishna a specific question, that which one of these two is more perfect, is better, is the best. Now we've come to a discussion where he is no more asking a devotee versus non-devotee. He's asking amongst the two devotees who is more perfect. So this is how we see that the discussion is progressive in Bhagavad Gita. It has progressed, and it's no more remained at a basic level. It started from basic level, but it has progressed so beautifully that now the questions are still asked, but the questions are that of higher nature, and higher realities are being inquired. So that is how should be the roadmap for all of us as well. As we progress in the study of Bhagavad Gita, once our fundamentals get cleared, we should no more get confused about those, and then we should continue to ask questions, but of higher degrees or higher realities. It doesn't mean that if you have a question about some fundamental thing, we should not ask. We should definitely ask, but we should know that this is a progressive study as well, and we should aspire to progress in the study of Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna is clearly asking that amongst all people, let's come to what does the impersonalist mean. What do you mean by impersonalist? Here Krishna says, the translate Prabhupada writes that those who are working, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service. Now, this is bhakta, the devotees, and the other is those who worship the impersonal Brahman. This is where we will require some clarification. Or unmanifested. What does that mean? Impersonal Brahman or unmanifested. So all people can be bifurcated. We take the population, whatever is population 130 billion, whatever it is, the entire population of the world can be bifurcated into two broad categories. Now we are not we're just giving a very high level bifurcation. Those who believe in God are called generally theist, and those who don't believe in God are called atheist. So this is fundamentally, we can bifurcate people. All people whom you know, whom you know, who are on your contact list, you there also you can do this bifurcation. That's, yes, these people believe in the concept of God. May not know who is God, but they understand that their God exists, and God is probably in control. We are not in control. If it's going to rain in October, it's because of God, and not because of some error that we have done. It's not a human error because of which it's raining in October. So but God wants rain to come. We have no choice. We are helpless. So rains we'll just have to tolerate. We just have to mitigate by carrying umbrellas in the month of October. But we can't do much. So those who believe in God, they are called theists. Those who don't believe, they are called atheists. Now those who believe in God, again there is a bifurcation. Now we are completely throwing out those who don't believe in God. They are completely useless. Let's not waste time in discussing that. The 7.15, Prabhupada has dealt with those people in detail. Those are Mudhas means foolish people. Those are naradhamas, those lowest amongst human beings. Those are maya aparata jnanam, जिनका माया ने ज्ञान अपहरण कर लिया है. So and those have asurim bhavam ashritam, means they have asuri bhav. They want to become god. So they're, so those people are dealt with in the 7.15. We can read through the detailed purport given by Prabhupada and understand. And don't have to do much with those people right now. Let's focus on those who believe in God. Can there be some confusion here? Yes, there is confusion. Those who believe in God also has two bifurcation. One, on the left hand side you see personalist, and second you see impersonalist. Personalist, now I may believe in God and I may also believe that God is a person. God is a person, and there are people who believe in the concept of God, but they consider God to be impersonal. Now, how a God can be impersonal? How do we think a God can be impersonal? Means if my father was a person, I am a person, my father was a person, my his father was a person, and his father was a person, but original father was is not a person. That is what the impersonalist theory is. Now let's look at this impersonalist also in little bit more detail. So impersonalists can also be bifurcated into Brahmavadis and Mayavadis. Now Brahmavad, in very simplistic term, means so there is Brahma Jyoti. Brahma Jyoti is effulgence coming out of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is there, and then from his body, the light which comes out is called Brahma Jyoti. The light that emanates from the body of Supreme Lord is called Brahma Jyoti, and that is also an attraction. Everything is in connection with God is attractive. God, Krishna is attractive. Krishna is all beautiful, all attractive. That is by definition. Is Krishna's definition is all attractive. So all aspects. So his flute is attractive. The more pankha that he wears on his helmet is attractive. Garland, the flower garland that he wears in his in his neck are attractive. The yellow dhoti is attractive. Everything about Krishna and connected with Krishna is attractive. And similarly, the light which emanates from the body of Krishna is also attractive. So some devotees, uh, some practitioners, bhakti practitioners, consider that light to be supreme, and so they feel that they may be seen worshipping deities, but their conception is that we have to go beyond the form to the light, and ultimate reality is that light, and we have to go and sit in that light, and that is called Brahmavadi's ultimate destination. We talked about in the 10th discussing 10th chapter, we talked about uh, we spoke about sambandha, uh, संबंध प्रयोजन and संबंध अभिधेय and प्रयोजन, संबंध कृष्ण अभिधेय भक्ति प्रयोजन कृष्ण प्रेम. सो वैसे ही इम्पर्सनलिस्ट भक्त जो होते हैं उनका प्रयोजन होता है अल्टीमेटली व्हाट यू वांट टू डू. यू मे बी सीन डूइंग डिटी वर्शिप नाउ and following all the studying Vedas, doing duty worship, following all the rules and regulations. But so they are doing, apparently they are doing bhakti, and they also have a form. But what is their ultimate prayojan? Prayojan is to go beyond that form and merge in the light. Now, this is their attraction. Now, they are attracted to the light emanating from the body of Supreme Lord, that is Brahmavadis. Mayavadis have another conception. Now, they they are not interested. They are the ones who consider God to be formless, and they they deride the forms of they actually deride deity worship. And deride means they criticize deity worship, they oppose deity worship. And not only that, they have a conception that they and they can become one with God. Eventually they can become God. So once you become one with God, you become inseparable. You cannot be separated. That which is you, which is God. So you can eventually become God by merging into the God. So this is kind of a philosophy that is propagated by Mayavad. Mayavadis are offensive to Krishna. They are offenders of Krishna, and Krishna dealt with them in the 12 in the ninth chapter, 11th and 12th verse, where he says that avajananti mam mudham manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram, that the fools deride me. So when I descend in the human form, they do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme lord of all that be. Moghasha, and what happens to them? Moghasha, Mogha Karmano, Mogha Jnana, Vichetasaha, Rakshasim, Asurim, Chaiva, Prakrutim, Mohinim, Shritaha. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hope for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So, Krishna is speaking extremely harshly about these people, that they will, all their efforts are defeated. So they will not get the, they're hoping for liberation, but they will not achieve anything. And all their endeavors will be lost. So that is the case that will happen with Mayavadi. What is Brahmavad? Brahmavad, or a lot of, when they say that God is all pervasive, how do we understand that Krishna is, God is everywhere, and therefore you cannot capture him by way of a deity? Now this is the conception that we'll try to understand with simple example of a halwa. We have a suji halwa that is made, and it's a easy process. I This is one dish I can cook for Jagannath ji. So because it's easy to cook, it's not very difficult. So you roast the suji on ghee, and when that roasting is going on, you roast it for some time. There is a fragrance in the home. The entire home is filled with that fragrance. एक सुगंध आती है जब ऑन घी हम हलवा भूनने भूनते हैं या रोस्ट करते हैं, तब एक सुगंध आती है, पूरे घर में होती है. इट्स नॉट, you can't just say that it's, if it is cooked in kitchen, that fragrance is only limited to kitchen, but it comes out of kitchen and it spreads. It's practically there in the entire home. Now, anybody who walks from the outside, enters our home, they know that this there is a halwa is being cooked, and they immediately he may ask, "आज क्या special हो रहा है? आज halwa cook हो रहा है क्या?" And because from the fragrance you can make out. So this is a fragrance. So this is a limited knowledge of halwa, limited manifestation of that halwa. Fragrance is not halwa, is not equal to halwa, but halwa is a part of halwa. When that halwa becomes ready, it's removed in a bowl and kept in front of Lord, offered to Lord. There is a fragrance, and now there is a sight. There is a fragrance plus sight. Now this is higher realization of halwa than only the fragrance. So fragrance was partial realization of halwa. Just know that something is getting cooked. Probably it is halwa, knowing from the fragrance. But fragrance plus sight, you get a confirmation that yes, it is halwa and it is looking extremely delicious. It's been offered to the Lord. So, but that is also, it may seem delicious, but you can't really say with assurance that whether it is actually delicious or not delicious, whether it is properly roasted, not roasted, whether the sweetness is accurate or not accurate, not correct. Is it um, so 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 that is also a partial realization of halwa. What is complete realization? When you take a spoonful of halwa and puts it into your mouth, and then that halwa, you know, goes in each and every nook and corner of your mouth, tongue, is is tasting the entire nectar of that halwa, and then you give your opinion that yes, this is the best halwa I have ever eaten. And that's because now you have all the three conceptions: the fragrance, the sight, and the taste. That is going to give you complete experience of halwa. Similarly, only personal reciprocal experience with Krishna can give us complete satisfaction and complete realization of Krishna. Impersonal, Krishna is everywhere. The Krishna we heard in 7th chapter, 9th chapter, 8th chapter, 10th chapter, so many vibhutis, 82 vibhutis. Krishna says my vibhutis are unlimited. I'm only going to tell you few major one. Mukhya pradhana means jo bade jo high level overview I will just tell you main vibhutis. वैसे मेरे vibhutis तो unlimited है. But and then he go on explaining, and he says there are things in the world, the and there are qualities that you all possess, abilities, qualities, skill, talents. All of that comes from me. In aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate, it literally means that everything is originating from me. I am the source of everything, the material and spiritual that you can see, and everything is emanating from me. Mattah sarvam pravartate. So that, having said this, Krishna is everywhere, which means, so there are so there are the impersonalists believe that therefore you cannot have a picture of Krishna. Islam and Christianity, especially especially criticize deity service, deity worship only for this reason, that you cannot put a picture of God, because according to them, God is everywhere. Just like fragrance is in filled in the entire home, you can't take a picture of that fragrance, but you can only feel it, and but that is only a partial realization of halwa. Similarly, knowledge that Krishna exists everywhere, is present everywhere, is only a partial realization of Krishna. Then sight, when we see Krishna face to face, is also higher realization, knowing that Krishna is everywhere and Krishna is also in front of me. When we go and take darshan of deity, we have that realization that I'm seeing. I know theoretically Krishna is everywhere, but now I'm also seeing Krishna face to face, right in front of me. He's also there, and that he can do. He can everything can be inside Krishna, and Krishna can be inside in everything. Now this is his yogam aishwarya. This is not paradox. This is not to confuse you, but Krishna says this is my aishwarya. I can do this, and I can still be there outside of all of this material creation and in my own abode. All of this can happen by my energies. Now, Krishna's energies is a different topic altogether, which we can study for hours and hours, and still it will not get over. So that, so this is a better, higher than knowledge that Krishna is everywhere. God is everywhere. The higher knowledge is that God is everywhere. God is also in front of me. And the best knowledge is God is everywhere. God is in front of me, and I am serving that God, and Krishna is reciprocating with me. I am serving lovingly that God, and that God is reciprocating with me in a loving way. Now, this is the highest manifestation, highest realization of the concept of God. Similar to highest realization is to take halwa and eat it, put it into your mouth and taste it, rather than just seeing it or just smelling it. So, the Aham Brahmasmi, a lot of yogis we see. Why this is important is because we may see people acting as a devotees and maybe performing various acts, and we should know that anyone who poses himself to be a devotee may not have the accurate understanding of who God is and what devotional service means. They can be living in any confusion. You should be able to differentiate between the right and the wrong path, or you should know what path leads to what destination. The Krishna says very clearly, if it is a impersonalist Mayavadi, all their endeavors will be lost. And now Krishna is going to deal with the Brahmavadis. Brahmavadis necessarily don't deny the form of Krishna, but they have no attraction for that form. They are attracted to the light that is emanating from Krishna. So let's see how Krishna is dealing with those people. Prabhupada writes in the purport that generally the transcendentalists can be divided into two classes. One is impersonalist and the other is personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist also engages himself not directly in the service of Krishna, but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. We find in this chapter that of the different processes of realization of the absolute truth, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, is the highest. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to the devotional service. Arjuna is here questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth, but Krishna indicate in this chapter that Bhakti Yoga or devotional service to him is the highest of all. It is the most direct and it is the easiest means for association with the Godhead. In the second chapter, so Krishna is saying it is most direct and it is easiest and it is done very happily. The three direct attributes. It is direct. Why? Because eating halwa or receive serving God and lovingly serving God is the best way to connect with God and best your best chance to get a favor from God, get a loving reciprocation from God, rather than meditating on God. That God, you're everywhere. Rasoham apsu Kaunteya, you're the taste in water, you're the ability in man. You can sit in meditation like this and keep thinking about all this aspect that you're the taste in water is you, sun and light of sun and moon is you. Right now it is sun, so that sunlight is nothing but you. The ability in men in you, the intelligence of the intelligent people is you. So this is impersonal meditation of thinking about God, that God, you are this, you are that. And but that is not very satisfactory because there's no direct interaction with God. So if God is a person, if I'm a person, you can't, I don't want you to think about me कि प्रभु जी को मैं ये सवाल पूछूंगा, फिर प्रभु जी मुझे ऐसा करेंगे, प्रभु जी ने ये क्यों बोला, प्रभु जी ने ये क्यों बोला. I want you all to call me and have a face to face conversation with me, or at least have a telephonic conversation with me. Ask me why I said what I said, and ask your questions. Ask define your problems, ask for solution, ask for inspiration to become devotee. So that is direct. There is a direct approach, there is an indirect approach. Indirect approach, I will not figure out. Krishna can still figure out that you're thinking about him in meditation rather than directly approaching him. But I can't even do that. So but this is not satisfactory to Krishna. When Krishna is personally present, he don't want you to sit in meditation and think about him when he is present in front of you. When he is present in front of you, you directly deal with him, say hello to him, say give some service to him, render some service to him, and reveal your heart to him, and he will help you because he is all well-wishing, a friend of all the living entities. Surudha Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Rachati. Krishna says in the last 29th verse of 5th chapter. So we have to be direct in our approach. It has to be easy. Bhakti, Krishna says, is easy. Ananya chetaha satatam yomam smrti nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha. It is very sulabha, बहुत easy है, not very difficult. Bhakti karna, all you need to do is to remember Krishna 24 by 7 and to remember Krishna at the end of your life, and then you go back to Krishna. That's it. So bhakti is direct Bhakti is easy. Bhakti direct, it means you can engage all your senses in the serving Krishna. Therefore, this is natural also. You don't have to sit in meditation rejecting your abilities, rejecting your talents, rejecting your skills. No, you use them for serving Krishna. So this is direct, this is natural, this is easy, and this is joyfully performed. Susukham kartum avyayam, 9th chapter, 2nd verse. Krishna says it is done very easily and very happily. So Prabhupada writes further that in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that a living entity is not material body. He is spiritual spark and Krishna is the absolute whole. We covered this aspect. In the 7th chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the supreme whole and recommends that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. We have to Mai Asakta Mana Partha. So that is how the 7th chapter started. That using the process of hearing, get your mind attached to Krishna without any doubt, perform bhakti wholeheartedly. And then you will get knowledge, and that knowledge will drive away all your doubts, and that's how you will get attached to Krishna lovingly. So we have to divert our attention to Krishna completely. Then again, in 8th chapter, it was said that anyone who think of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. 9th chapter concludes with appeal to always think of Krishna. Man mana, bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji, worship me, mam namaskaru, pay obeisances to me. Mam, he's brought himself to be at the center of entire discussion. So in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They are so firmly detached that even in the preparation of commentaries of Bhagavad Gita, they want to distract other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. They prefer to meditate on the impersonal Brahman, impersonal form of the absolute truth, which is beyond the reach of the senses and is not manifest. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle this question of which process is easier and which of the class is more perfect. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha मयि आवेश्य मनो ये माम नित्य युक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतास ते मे युक्ततमो mataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. Similar, Krishna gave opinion, Samay Yukta Tomamataha. He in the 6th chapter, in last verse, 47th verse, where Krishna says that योगिनाम अपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेन अंतरात्मना श्रद्धावान भजते यो माम माम, वहां से शुरू हुआ है माम का सिलसिला. Where Krishna says, those who worship me with Shraddha, Same Yukto Tamamataha. My opinion is that those people are the best amongst all yogis, and those are Bhakti yogis. So, practitioner of Bhakti Yoga. A lot of people write in their bio, in their social media, or in their WhatsApp profile, practitioner of Bhakti Yoga. So, this is what they intend to do, that they want to become devotee of Lord Krishna, become servants of Krishna. So this is what Krishna is saying, that that he's settling this dispute for once and for all, saying that those who are worshipping him with great faith, transcendental faith, always engage, nitya, not that occasionally performing bhakti, but always engage in worshipping me with transcendental faith, are considered to be the most perfect. He considered them to be more perfect, most perfect, not more perfect, not good, but it is best. So, in answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hear or read books about Krishna. Uh, so what does that pure devotee constantly engage in? So sometimes he chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, like how we do it in the morning from 4:45 till 7:30. So chant. Sometimes he hears or read book. Right now you are hearing, I'm speaking and reading. The reading book is what we recommend everyone to do every day. So read Bhagavad Gita, read Srimad Bhagavatam every day, and so that is how you engage yourself in the Krishna consciousness. Then third activity is sometimes he cook prasadam, or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna. And sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. And whatever he does, he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi. So anybody who is doing everything, all their activities are dedicated for Krishna, they are considered to be always in samadhi. Not the ones who are quitting their families, going to jungle, sitting in a solitary place, trying to meditate, concentrate on their mind, in their mind, trying to remove all their desires, trying to remove all their thoughts, make their mind completely thoughtless, and try to concentrate on the Lord in the heart and hope to have his darshan. Uh, now those that's a extremely difficult phase, and so that samadhi may come by mercy of Krishna, but it may not come in most cases because controlling our mind, regulating our senses is extremely difficult. So most of those yogis, jnana yogis, ashtanga yogis, dhyana yogis, they fail because they can't, beyond a point they can't concentrate on the unmanifested form of Krishna, and therefore Prabhupada writes that now this person is actually in samadhi, in full samadhi, because all from morning, the time he's waking up till the time he goes to sleep, he's only thinking and doing things for Krishna, thinking about Krishna, doing things for Krishna. And we in our limited way can practice this. Practice mantra meditation in the morning, join our Zoom Zapa session in the morning, then uh, then go to your work thinking about Krishna, reading about Krishna, hearing about some pastimes of Krishna. Work work for the purpose of creating, earning money, earning Lakshmi for maintenance of your family, so that you can be engaged. They all can be engaged in Krishna consciousness nicely. Earn money, so that earn Lakshmi, so that you can donate regularly for the propagation of Krishna consciousness, and that way purify your work, purify all the time that you spent at your workplace. Then come back home. During the workplace, eat prasad. Offer food to Krishna when you sit down for lunch. Offer it to Krishna in your mind. If it has not been brought from home, at least offer it to Krishna. Whatever you are consuming or hoping to consume, and eat it as a prasad. When you come back home, take bath, again chant some rounds, do some reading, do some kirtan, again take prasad and go to sleep. So Prabhupada writes that even this can be samadhi. Externally, you're looking not to be different. You're not looking much different than an atheist living in your neighborhood, who is also going to office, waking up early in the morning, doing some rituals, going maybe for jogging and exercising, then going to office, having a family, maintaining a family, raising children. Now they also might be seen to be doing similar activities, but the primary difference is that in the devotee activity, the Krishna is at the center. Therefore, he is, even though he is doing externally the activities which are done similar to, which are in similar nature than what is done by a non-devotee, but there is a world of difference because he's doing everything by keeping Krishna at the center, and that is what make his activities karma free, so he doesn't get entangled, while the other person will get entangled and will come back to the material world. The verse third and fourth, but those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, and the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed in everyone to everyone, such persons engage in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. And Prabhupada, Krishna describes their condition. Kleshodhikstar, Kleshodhikstar means for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So, what is Krishna saying here? Essentially, that if you are not attracted to the personal form, imagine you are attracted to the fragrance of the halwa. You will achieving halwa is going to take you long time, and it's going to be very tough journey. Rather, you should hope to directly have halwa and then experience the fragrance and the sight, all the three features of that halwa. So um, so the person who is Radhesham Prabhuji gave a beautiful story that there's a there's a man who wants to visit his father-in-law. His wife has gone to his Maika, her Maika, and then he also want to visit, but he does not have proper address, and he doesn't feel like asking his father-in-law to give his address. So he think, I will go. He has a lot of cows and calves, and there is bulls, so they all go out for grazing. So I'll go out in the and stay, be watchful about when those cattle will come out for grazing. I will follow those cattle and go to the home. Then while when the in the evening, when all the cattle start going back home, he held hold on, पकड़ लेता है, एक बुल की टेल को पकड़ लेता है, and then bull start dragging him, and he's being dragged in the village, and bull is scared, bull is running towards home, and he's also going home, but in the process he's getting hurt at all possible places. And in that condition, the bull finally reaches home, and then the people think he's a cattle thief, and then start beating him. Then they realize that he's their actual jamai, and then they rescue him, and then they they welcome him. But Radhesham Prabhuji tells that this is very difficult. Going home like this is very difficult. But what is the easy way? Become devotee of Krishna. Go to Krishna. Krishna will give you intelligence by which you can come to him. Krishna is eager to welcome you back at his home, more eager than what you have a eagerness to go there. So this path, Brahmavadis are more difficult. He doesn't say the same thing for Mayavadis. He says those foolish people and they all their endeavors are wasted. He doesn't, but Brahmavadis are still better off than Mayavadis because they are at least favorable to the form of the Lord. They are not attracted initially, but eventually they can get attracted and come back to Krishna with the mercy of devotees. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in the direct service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is easier and is natural for the embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yoga accept the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form within the temple is not idol worship. Lord, being all powerful, can easily manifest in the deity at the request of his devotee. Such deity, though prepared with material articles such as stone, wood, paint, but not material. It is not material, but it is spiritual. Says that Krishna can convert matter into spirit and spirit into matter because he is all powerful. He can do all of that. So even if we prepare a deity using material elements like stone, metal, and wood, Krishna convert that matter into spirit, and he can come inside and reside in that deity and accept all the services and that we are offering. So we should never consider deity. So deities are non-different than Krishna personally. Crude Prabhat gives a further writes further. A crude example may be given here. We may find some mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in these boxes, they will naturally go to their destinations without difficulty. But any old box or an imitation which may we may find somewhere, but which is not authorized by the post office, will not do the work. Means the if it is a post box and we want to send a letter to someone, and but if it is an authorized post box, we put a letter inside that box, it will be removed and it will be taken to our desired destination. But if it is an imitation box or it is a dummy box, unauthorized box, then whatever we put inside that will go nowhere. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme God. God will accept service through that form. The God, Lord is omnipotent, all powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the services of the devotees just to make it convenient for the man in the conditioned life. For every individual living entity, the process of Krishna consciousness, which entails full engagement in devotional service, is the best way. If one wants to ignore this devotional service, there is the danger of turning to atheism. Thus, the process of centering attention to the unmanifested, the inconceivable, which is beyond the approach of the senses, as directly expressed in this verse, should never be encouraged at any time. Especially in this age, it is not advised by Lord Krishna. ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि संन्यस्य मत्परः अनन्यनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषाम् अहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्यु संसार सागरात् भवामि न चरत् पार्थ मय्यावेश मय्यावेशित चेतसाम. Very beautiful verse. Now, this verse talks about the condition of pure devotees, those who are worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in their personal form. And what Krishna do to them, this is what Krishna does to these devotees. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in the devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their mind upon me, O son of Pratha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So Govinda is the swift deliverer. I personally come and deliver. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from the material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. Prabhupada ordered towards the end of this purport, let everyone take shelter of the supreme omnipotent Godhead Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay, he will deliver a pure devotee, thus engage in the ocean, thus engage from the ocean of material existence. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord himself. He clearly states here that he himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secured. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to the other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by his great mercy, come at once riding on his bird carrier Garuda and at once delivers the devotee from the material existence. The Supreme Lord herein promises without delay he will deliver a pure devotee. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in the devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to other paths. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, a devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily. But this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions uh, of this past life, because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Krishna, Godhead, Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. Move on to the second part. The ladder, the options. Krishna says, Mayeva mana adhastva, Mayi buddhim niveshaya, nivasishyasi mayeva, adha urdhvam na samshayaha. Krishna says that just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. Thus, you will live in me always without a doubt. So, what is happening here? Krishna is actually going to explain the ladder of bhakti. Ladder means this is considered to be the topmost devotee. This is description of a topmost devotee, just one who fix his mind upon me, as the Supreme Person of Godhead, and engages all his activities, intelligence in him, and then he will live in him always. So we live where our subtle body lives. Our subtle body comprises of mind and intelligence. So as long as our mind and intelligence is devoted to Krishna, we will always think of Krishna and do work for Krishna. And that way, our subtle body, where we will take shelter of that in the moment of difficulty. So in the moment of death also we will remember Krishna, and thereby we will go to Krishna. So this is a description of a pure devotee. Prabhupada write in the purport, one who is engaged in the Krishna, in Lord Krishna's devotional service, live in direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane; he lives in Krishna. The holy name of Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnaized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures. Spontaneous attraction towards Krishna. We all need to have spontaneous, voluntary, spontaneous attraction towards Krishna. We live where our soul body lives. Soul body comprises of mind, intelligence, and ego. If all three are attached to Krishna or invested fully in Krishna, then we have no other shelter other than Krishna. So, if that is the case, then you can remember him throughout your life and also at the end of your life, and thereby you can go to Krishna. Ninth verse gives a gives a level below, describes devotees one level below than the eighth verse, and this will progress till the 12th verse. Asachittam samadhutam na shoknoshi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichhaptu dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me. So the last verse Krishna has spoken about in the eighth verse. Krishna is saying that, fix your mind upon me. Mayyeva mada adhastva mayi buddhim nimeshaya. That fix your mind upon me. But if that you cannot do for some reason, then next best option is what Krishna is presenting here. Then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So the Bhakti Yoga, Prabhupada has given us rules and regulations. So regulative principles, the four things we should be doing as a devotee, and other four things we should be doing as a devotee. We should be chanting a Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We should read Prabhupada books regularly and hear classes. We should take prasad. We should associate with devotees and take prasad. And so these four things, we are supposed to do, and the four things we are not supposed to do. So that is we should not be engage. We shouldn't. There's no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxicants like alcohol and smoking. So if you perform the things which are required to be performed and prevent or stay away from those things which Krishna recommends not to do, then we can become a nice devotee of Krishna. Even though there is no spontaneous loving affection for Krishna, by following the rules and regulation, eventually that love will get invoked in our heart. And for that, developer will eventually get a desire to go to Krishna. Prabhupada writes in the purport that in this verse, two different processes of bhakti yoga are indicated. First applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna. That is verse 8, the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the transcendental love. And the other is one for who has not yet developed an attachment for the Supreme Personality of Transcendental Love. For this second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations. One can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. So verse 8 gives you the highest level. Verse 9 is a level below, but it is reminding those who are at verse 9 level to go to verse 8, that do these things so that you can you can get elevated to the first level. Buddhi Yoga is a purification of the senses. At the present moment in the material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sensual sense gratification activities. But by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, uh, these senses can become purified, and in the purified state, they can come directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. Narad Muni, example of Narad Muni, when Lord appeared in his heart, when Narad Muni was a small boy, Lord gave him darshan, and he says that very clearly that your sense, mind and senses and intelligence is not yet purified. So you will not see me again in this body. I have given you this just as an incentive so that you develop a strong desire to attain me. But when you will give up this current body, you will attain a spiritual body as Narad Muni, and that time you will be able to see me constantly. So that is what Krishna is reiterating here, that in when our mind, senses and intelligence is impure, in that impure state we cannot connect with Krishna. And the purification process is by chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, by hearing scriptures from like Srimad Bhagavatam, pastimes of Lord in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, instructions of Lord, and meditating on this, then serving devotees in association. These are purificationary processes for our mind, senses, and intelligence. And once they become sufficiently purified, Lord can manifest in our heart too. So, in spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. That stage of love can be achieved by practice of devotional service performed with the present senses. Practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of an expert spiritual master. Follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple and offer prayers, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then collect flowers to offer to deities, cook foodstuff to offer to the deities, take prasadam. One should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help this practice can help anyone rise to the level of love of God, and then he is sure of his progress into the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of bhakti yoga under the rules and regulations with the directions of a spiritual master will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. So if you don't have love of God as described in 12.8, follow the regulative process as defined in 12.9 so that 12.8 can easily be achieved in due course of time. Verse 10 take you one level below. If you cannot practice the regulations of the bhakti yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me you will come to the perfect stage. 12.10 Madartham api karmani, working for my sake. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness and they require help. So, even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. What Prabhupada is writing is that uh, there are devotees who are engaged in propagation of Krishna consciousness. Propagation of Krishna consciousness means opening new temple, going out and reaching out to the mass community where Krishna Bhakti is not being done, inviting new people to the Krishna consciousness to for the study of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and engaging them in the performance of devotional service, teaching them how to do japa, teaching them the meanings of Bhagavad Gita, teaching them Bhagavatam, and enabling them, helping them to start reading it all on themselves. And that's how they get started on the path of devotional service, eventually will become pure devotees. And they will reach the 12.8 stage. So this endeavor, so Prabhupada said, this propagation is an important work. If you are unable to work directly for Krishna, at least help those who are propagating Krishna consciousness. So endeavor requires such. So how you can help? Prabhupada writes here that if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor require land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a one requires a place to stay, uh, some capital to use, and some labor and some organization to expand. So the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that the in the materialism, the work for sense gratification. In materialism, one work for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed by uh, for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness, or he can help with the publications. There are various fields of activities one should be interested in such activities, and one should be interested in one such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage or to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service this voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love for God, whereupon one becomes perfect. Prabhupada writes, however, okay, Krishna says that even that is not possible. Then what should you do? If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Bhagavad Gita 12.11 Sarma karma phala tyaga. Give up all results of all activities. It more Prabhupada writes that it may be it may be that one is unable to even sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments or problems. One is not clearly able to come out in support of Krishna consciousness, ISKCON, for example. Then that could be because of some social pressure, some family issues, and so on and so forth. So, what is the outcome for them? What is the hope for them? So, Krishna says further that in the 11th verse, Krishna says that if one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from the family members. So, or so many other difficulties. Now, what should such people do? For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated results of his activities to some good cause. So again, sacrificing results of your activities are, you work hard in industry, in office, and end of month you get some money. If you're in business, end of period you achieve some profit. So Krishna says that is what you should utilize it for, the propagation of Krishna consciousness. And if you can do that, that will be considered to be highest. That will eventually help you progress in the next stage, and eventually you will come to 12.8, where your mind, intelligence, and ego all are fixed on Krishna, or are attached to Krishna. 12th verse, Krishna says that if you cannot take this practice also, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. 12.12. As mentioned in the previous verses, there are two kind of devotional services: the way of regulative principles, um, and the way of full attachment in love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually, knowledge will develop the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by a gradual process. Three, the last part, the options, the lessons, the devotee disposition. So, what we heard in the from the verses 8 to 12 are the different stages of devotees. Now we are not talking about impersonalists, we're talking about devotees. So we started with the whole population, the believers, non-believers. Amongst believers, those who are personalists, devotees, and those who are impersonalists, those who think that the God is not a person. And amongst those impersonalists, some are Brahmavadis who are dealt with in the chapter 12, and some are Mayavadis who are dealt with in the chapter 9 and very harshly criticized by Lord. Brahmavadis still have hope because but their path is very क्लेशोधिक क्लेशों से भरा हुआ है उनका path, so it is not recommended. So that's why Krishna repeatedly concludes that bhakti yoga is easy, natural, and assuring results. It is giving you results, assured results. So why will an intelligent man reject such an offer which is directly coming from Krishna? And why will he then, because it is natural, you're using your senses, um, and so on and so forth. So, and amongst those devotees also, you can be at different levels, and Krishna is being so merciful that he want to accommodate each and everyone somewhere. You will all find yourself sitting in one of these places, and you should know that there is a progression that is required as well. So one should hope to progress as well. So devotees disposition, we'll do a quick now, Krishna in this verses 13 to 20, all the verses, Krishna is constantly speaking. This is mine, is very dear to me, is very dear to me. Now, this type of devotee is very dear to me. Now, if you see, how can one become, how can one acquire these qualities? Now, let's look at the qualities that Krishna is listing. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities. He who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, well self controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is always dear to me. A question, we have still about 20 minutes. How you can achieve these qualities? What is in it? What is in Bhagavad Gita that you have learned so far that can help you achieve any of these qualities? Of course, with the practice of japa, hearing, constant hearing and chanting. But why, at a philosophical level, at a theoretical theory level, from whatever you have heard in Bhagavad Gita, why do you think these qualities will come? Take, for example, kind friend to all living entities. Why should you become kind friend to all living entities? What is the trigger? Or why should you be, um, you should not think of himself as a proprietor? Why should that be the case? So pick up anything, and explain why you think that can be developed, what you have heard in Bhagavad Gita, which is helping you develop that quality. Because these qualities are very dear to Krishna. If you develop these qualities, then you become, Krishna will, you will be, Krishna is dear to you and you become dear to Krishna. Imagine, you today you don't know Prime Minister. You may like Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but and you know him or you like him. But tomorrow, if you do certain things, he will start liking you. What that stage will be? What a perfect stage that can be. Today he doesn't know you. You are one of the 1.3 billion population, one amongst so many. So he doesn't. You don't have a special identity. But Krishna says here that if you develop these qualities, then you become dear to me, personally taking interest in us. Krishna will start taking personal interest in us. For that, we have to have these qualities. So pick up any quality and and tell me why. How can you develop such qualities? Basis what you have heard in Bhagavad Gita in 11 sessions. You can raise hand and or feel free to unmute and speak. take for example anything, food, being non-envious, being kind friend to all living entities, does not think himself as a proprietor. Can you think of anything why you want, why you will not consider? You may be owning few flats, you have a car. Why you cannot think of yourself as a proprietor? How can you be equal in happiness and distress? Yes, Kanchan Mataji. Others can also think of it. I don't, Suma Mataji, try to, we don't have a lot of time. So if we'll speak, that will happen faster. Feel free to unmute and speak. It's nothing to worry about. But through speaking, I think we can address it faster than chatting. Chat, it will take long time for me to go through the chat comments. So I'll want everyone to speak out. Even if it
Hare,
is consideration, you can speak.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Kanchan Mataji, you can start.
Hare Krishna, Babuji. I think that knowing that Krishna is the supreme Godhead and he is the one from whom we have been descendant, he is the creator of this earth, of all the living and non-living beings on this earth. We should treat everybody with equality. That's what I have learned with this, and we should not be biased or be envy of any living or non-living being as well. And we should see Krishna in everything, every living and non-living thing, and we should treat them with love, with care, as if we are treating to Krishna. That's what I have learned from Bhagavad Gita, and that way, by performing our duties which are assigned to us and being in our own space, being connected, feeling connected to Him, I think we can achieve this stage.
Okay,
Apart from
that's
doing
great. Yeah.
Kirtana and Sankirtana, we should
Yeah. So
perform.
with this
Yeah.
knowledge, we see that everything has come from Krishna, originated from
Yeah.
Krishna, and
Hmm.
everything, Krishna is in everything. Krishna is in
Hmm.
my heart. Similarly, Krishna is in everyone's heart. So, so one should not be envious of all other living entities because Krishna is situated in their hearts as well. So one can be friend with all. What about um, proprietorship? Also, you said everything is ultimately owned and controlled by Krishna. So we are
Yeah.
all temporarily in possession of whatever positions that we have. So that is
Hmm.
proprietorship. False ego, that's okay. Equal in both happiness and distress. How can you be equal and tolerant? Can somebody elaborate on that?
By just believing that whatever we are doing is has to be submissive to the Krishna. जो भी उसका whatever the outcome of that action is, we have to submit it to the Krishna, and that's how we will not be connected to grief or happiness of that particular result.
Okay, little bit more. How can you be? How can you feel? So basically, when you feel happy, you should be equal in happiness as well as in distress. So what is about happiness and distress? Uh, that that one, how why we get agitated, or why get we get what is the opposite of
I
this?
think
When we are
I
not
think
equal,
that
what happens? When you become happy, you become proud, you become arrogant, you become
yeah,
greedy, you get attached. When you become happy, when things happen according to your plan, or
yeah,
you get what you wanted to get, you become happy. And that
hmm,
happiness state, what it will result into, it will result into we becoming
arrogance, arrogance.
arrogant, greedy,
Hmm.
and all that, whatever we just spoke. And when things don't go according to our plan,
We
we
become
become
angry, stressed,
angry,
anxiety, because yeah.
distressed, disappointed, and all that. So what knowledge in Krishna consciousness which can help us become steady?
When we do each and every action dedicated to Krishna as if we are doing for his, remembering him, I have felt it personally that whenever, supposingly we are preparing prasad for Krishna, we feel so happy. If even if it turn out little a little bit less tasty as we planned for, but still after the bhog we feel that it is a proper taste which we planned for him, and he is the one who has offered this, or who have accepted this taste, and we should believe in that. And That way we don't feel grief, or we don't feel more distressed out of what happened before while preparing the food. So whatever actions we are taking, if we surrender and if we dedicate and we believe that we are doing it for Krishna, and Krishna will be happy with that just one feeling. If we do each and every action, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very nice. Vikas Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So, from Bhagavad Gita perspective, if we see the verse 529, that Bhoktaram Yagna Tapsam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, then ultimately from that, if we know that actually Lord is the benefactor, He is the enjoyer of everything, then there doesn't come any desire to be the proprietor of something. Then Yagna Tapsam, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapsam, He is doing Raman in the austerity that anyone and everyone is performing. Yagya, everyone is performing. So the enviousness towards other living entities doesn't arise in the heart. That since I am doing something for Lord,
No,
others are
we
also
spoke
doing.
about, we spoke about that. Can you focus on this equal in happiness and distress and tolerant?
Equal in happiness and distress is truly like if we see that Swirdam Sarva Bhutanam, that as I am dear to Krishna, everyone else is also dear to very dear to Krishna. So whenever I am dealing with the situation, means whatever is happening, it is actually sanctioned by Krishna. Updasta Anumantacha. That if something is sanctioned to me by Krishna, whether it is so-called misery or happiness, and he is my Suridam, he is my best friend, best well-wisher, then ultimately whatever is good for me, that has been sanctioned by him. So why to take unnecessary anxiety in the so-called distress, and why to feel so much exalted in when the so-called happiness comes to us. So we can see that this is ultimately the sanction of Krishna. Ultimately, he is the Suridam, he is the sanctioner. So when it is sanctioned by him, he knows everything. Then ultimately we can think the level at the equipoise level. That is my understanding. Very good. Understand.
So, for example, take for example a case of distress. When we get diagnosed with some disease. We become distressed. We feel extremely disappointed. That's a painful experience. We go through very painful experience. Uh, some of our loved ones depart. We don't. We accept it as a sanction by Krishna, but those are experiences, painful experiences, and we can look at those as, if when we see these incidences with the eyes of knowledge, we learn that all of those have come with the sanction of Krishna. When we getting diagnosed with some diseases, we going through medical issues, financial issues, health issues, relationship issues, of the job related issues, and so on and so forth, hundreds and thousands of issues that we go through. All of those are the outcome of our own karmic reactions, and they are not delivered to us by mistake. So we call this world as a dukhalaya. We understand that this place is a place of misery, but when it comes upon us, we get caught by surprise. We almost think that this place is that of a misery, but I should not become miserable. I should not be subjected to those miserable conditions. So that is a hope with which we conduct ourselves, and therefore we get caught by surprise whenever the misery actually come calling upon our door, and that's why we get shocked. But if you are in constant Krishna consciousness, you will always remember this world to be Dukhalaya Ashashvatam. Every morning you will remember this world is Dukhalaya Ashashvatam. So if something wrong happens, I shouldn't be surprised. It's just a matter of time of when it will come. It's not if it will come. It's the matter of time when it will come. So we should be reminding ourselves always of this. Today the condition is very good, so let me not be proud of it. Let me not be arrogant of it. Let me just accept it as a mercy from Krishna, knowing fully that eventually the tide will turn, and the unhappiness will also come in, the distress will also come in, the things will not have, there will come a time when things, everything will go against my will, my plan, my desire. Nothing will be happening according to my what I want. And all of that, if you're not in knowledge, can give us a lot of pain, mental pain, physical pain. Relationships can get strained, and you can be in a, you can be in a complete mess and chaos, land yourself in a complete chaos. So, with this knowledge, when we look at the life situations, we become equal. It's not that the we don't feel happy. We feel happy because Krishna has been merciful to us. And when we experience distress, we know that Krishna has been diligently giving us our share of karma, that past karmic reactions, those whatever were due, are getting burnt, and you are becoming free from that karma. So you are moving on. You are actually progressing. In that mood, you tolerate both. So happiness also has to be tolerated, and distress has to be tolerated as well. That is how, if you are in knowledge, proper knowledge, you will be able to tolerate both happiness and distress. मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुखदा, उसमें सिर्फ एक शीत या उष्ण टॉलरेट करने नहीं बोला है, सुख दुख, सुख भी टॉलरेट करना पड़ता है, दुख भी टॉलरेट करना पड़ता है, बिकॉज इट इज इजी टू start thinking that all the sukha that I'm getting is outcome of my hard work, and we may just forget the sanction part of by Krishna, and then get dragged into the binding, we get bound by our actions. Then it's no more a devotional service. If we forget that whatever we have got has been sanctioned by Krishna, if we forget Krishna's role in our achievements, we become bound by our achievements, and then for that we have to come back. So that is the look, that this is a jnana chakshu, looking at life situations from the with the eyes of knowledge. When we do that, you don't get overly excited and overly distressed. There could be inconvenience when you get diagnosed by some disease. It's not that you feel very happy that my karma is being burned. Yes, you may understand at intellectual level, you will understand that this is that. At physical level, you will go undergo pain, but knowing fully that it's been sanctioned by Krishna, so be it. And it's my own karmic reactions which are being delivered to me, so be it. So let me tolerate as much as I can, and let me pray to Krishna to let me become more fixed in remembering Krishna in the moment of difficulties. Let me take deeper shelter of Krishna in this moment of difficulty. So every difficult moment, we can go closer to Krishna, can utilize it for going closer to Krishna, rather than complaining to Krishna about why me, why it's been me who has been getting all the difficulties. So that is the disposition of a devotee. Further, verse 15, Krishna explains, by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without care, free from all pain, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. The one who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. In the the 9.28, Krishna says, Shubha Ashubha Falai Reva. Shubha and Ashubha, both phala are binding. So a devotee is not interested in both of them. He is simply interested in serving Krishna, or if he is not able to serve Krishna, at least offer the results of his activities to Krishna, so that it gets purified and he remains karma free. And by performing of devotional service of mantra meditation and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, all past accumulated karma can also be burnt, and thereby more and more he get attached, more and more as he become more and more pure, he gets more and more attached to the Krishna and go closer to Krishna, eventually ultimately go to Krishna as well. 18 and 19, one who is equal, he is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness, distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, contaminating association, uh, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Last verse, those who follow the imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very dear to me. Very clear. Last verse, he completes the discussion on Kevala Bhakti, pure devotional service, by saying that anyone who follow this imperishable path of devotional service, who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very dear to me. Those devotees are very dear to me. So let's summarize. We'll not go through this. This basically summarizes why a devotee is not is a how a devotee is able to maintain his equilibrium in through all the difficulties and distresses, and what is the difference between Maya Das and Krishna Das. When you become Krishna Das, how you become and what's your disposition, how is your understanding, which help you maintain equanimity in all circumstances, which does not let you become disturbed at any given point of time. So that you can go through during post class. I'll share the slides. You can go through those slides anyway. So let's summarize. The bhakti yoga is supreme and must be taken up immediately by everyone. It exists at a multiple level, so we should start from the where we are. Wherever we are, we should start, make a beginning under the guidance of devotees. We must not get complacent and strive to know how we can become better as bhakti ladder, where there is a scope for advancement to the next level. So wherever we might be, there's no scope for complacency. We shouldn't start thinking that मैं इतना ऊपर हूँ, ये लोग तो सब नीचे है, because knowing fully that there is a there is an upward progression that is also there for me as well. So there's I'm better off than maybe some of the others, but I'm not the best. So let me not become complacent. Let me not become proud of what I am, and whatever I have become is also because of the mercy from Krishna. So there's no question of my becoming proud of my achievement, and we should continue to progress towards the next level. By practicing bhakti, automatically all good qualities manifest in devotees of by Krishna's grace. They see all living entities either part and parcel of Krishna, or they see Krishna in all living entities. Hence, all their dealings becomes blissful. So bhakti is easy and joyful to perform, and hence must be taken up immediately by everyone. So all 60 of you are very fortunate to be able to take up the process of bhakti yoga, and please practice it wholeheartedly. Get more knowledge, learn more from Bhagavad Gita, from study of Bhagavad Gita. We have 6 more chapters to go. This is the last chapter in the bhakti section from 7 to 12, and we have covered it all as per our plan, and we'll go to the last section starting from next Sunday. We'll discuss 13th chapter. Very interesting chapter, very beautiful chapter. So don't miss out. But don't miss out on hearing, but don't miss out on chanting also. And collectively, by hearing and chanting in the association of devotees, you'll continue to progress towards Krishna. So I'll be keeping my 3 to 6 hour slot free for any question answer. Anybody can call me. I'll put a message into the group as well. So that if anyone has any questions, feel free to call me directly, and I'll be available in these 3 hours for discussing. Especially appeal to all the new devotees who and you can come up with all kind of questions, personal questions, relationship issue, study related issue, work related issue, anything that you might be in your mind that is you may think is preventing you from practicing bhakti yoga. Feel free to bring it up. We will be happy to discuss and try and offer some solution collectively. So I'll put a message and will be available from 3 to 6 for this discussion on the phone. So let's see if there are any questions in the chat box, or else we can conclude today's session. Yeah. So the question is why Krishna is saying that those who are trying to meditate on the unmanifested form have face more hardship. Why their task path is more difficult? Because we have senses. We cannot deny our senses. We all possess senses. The senses, our soul also has a senses. Soul has material senses, and soul spiritual body also has senses. So sensing is learning, is natural tendency of a soul. You cannot prevent it by when you sit in meditation and trying to uh, meditate on a formless God, conception of God. It is not very pleasing to heart. It's not very pleasing to heart. So think of you meditating on the fragrance of halwa. That how that halwa and you consider halwa, fragrance of halwa, to be the ultimate reality. It is not true, because you want to taste halwa. You may think of halwa, but it cannot give you complete satisfaction, complete realization. That's why meditating on the unmanifested form is unnatural, because you're unable to use your sensory organs in the engagement. So that's why it is difficult. Now, it's Krishna doesn't say it is impossible, but it is very, very difficult. So that's why he's not recommending it. So hope that answers your question, Khushi. Let me just scroll upwards to see if there are more questions. Those who worship unmanifested. So Khushi, that I have dealt with. Deepak Prabhuji has been asking question. Happiness. Whatever happened, it is for our good, and that we started tolerating. Yes. Um, Also, when we are in knowledge that happiness and distress are like seasons. That's true. It's God's will. Yeah. So Mataji. Okay, these are all answers to the previous questions. Yes, I think you all have got the point, and that why it's not that devotees are careless about happiness and distress of other people, but they understand the reason behind it, and therefore they are not bewildered by that whenever such events happen. Rather, they are able to respond to those events, and rather than reacting to those events, that why me, and people get bewildered and confused, and they are unable to respond correctly. A death, for example, we discuss in the 8th chapter how we can deal with a death happening in our family. Now a person who is dying will probably be completely bewildered, and others will also be equally confused. But a devotee will know how to deal with that situation, and he will try to, you know, give some induced remembrance of Krishna to the person who is about to depart. It's not the question of stopping medical treatment that can continue, but this can also continue, knowing fully that such eventuality can also come. So a devotee is responsive, is able to respond to the situation, and don't not necessarily react to a situation in a haphazard manner. Therefore, that's much better position to be in, and that's why he's able to be tolerant, more tolerant. He's able to be able to deal with life situation, life scenarios in a much better way. Vivek Ruji has a question: is that, as it is said that one should engage in bhakti yoga, uh, then why saints in previous yuga perform sadhana, meditation to go back to Godhead? As- So there were devotees in all yugas. Now Prahlad appeared in the Satya Yuga, and he was a devotee of Krishna. He was meditating. He was performing practical devotional service to Krishna. Dhruva Maharaj also was meditating, but he was also chanting. He was also performing bhakti yoga. So they are all the glorious devotees who are described in Srimad Bhagavatam are all personal bhakti yogis. Hanuman ji was engaged in direct service of Lord Ram. Arjuna was as a Sakhya Rasa in Sakhya Ras directly serving Lord. So there were devotees who were performing direct devotional service, and they are glorified for doing that. Others also were trying to attain Krishna. For example, Vishwamitra Muni. We discussed something the previous class. So he was a Kshatriya king, became uh, became a Muni, became a Rishi, and went to forest, start meditating on the impersonal form of Brahman. And he was distracted. The Menaka was sent by Indra, fearing that he wants his kingdom, and therefore, the moment he saw, so he was envious of Vashishta Muni. So he tried creating a parallel Swargaloka. Then again, his tapabal got reduced. Then again, he sat for meditation, and Menaka came, and then a girl was born by their union. But again, he realized that he's lost time in meditation, and he again gave her up, and again went to forest, again start meditating. And then another Apsara came. Now this time he was not attracted to her, but he became angry seeing her, and then he gave her, cursed her, and again he lost his tapabal. Again he realized that he failed. Again he went back to the process. So this is the simple example of the process says that it is not impossible, but it is very difficult. And ultimately, when the same Vishwamitra Muni became devotee of Lord Ram, he was given a big role to play in the part when Lord personally appeared in this planet. So he's the one who took Lord Ram and Rakshaman to the forest, killed Taraka and many other Rakshasas, took them to Janak Janak Maharaj, Mithila Nagari, got him to marry Sita Devi after Swayamvar. So a lot of things. Then Vishwamitra, the same Vishwamitra who was failing earlier constantly, became successful the moment he became Bhakti Yogi. And there are many numerous such examples. So it's not that Krishna doesn't say it is impossible, at least for the Brahmavadis. For Mayavadis who are trying to become one with God, for them, he says in a very strict words, he criticizes them and says that all their efforts will be lost. So they have no hope. But Brahmavadis who are not attracted initially to the personal feature of God, but he says they will attain God eventually by the mercy of devotees and Krishna, but their path will be very difficult. So he's saying, don't go on that path. And the moment you become Bhakti Yogi, your path becomes easier. So that's why he's constantly recommending Bhakti Yoga. Okay, Vivek Prabhu, hopefully that clarify your doubt. And we'll be happy to receive more doubts, more questions about our personal issues or our difficulties that we all might be facing in our life day to day. We're from 3 to 6. Feel free to dial and call me, and I should be available. So if you find it engaged, or if not able to reach me, I'll call you back. Maybe even after 6 o'clock, even if that means. But let's connect otherwise. also other than class also to discuss more. So with this, we'll conclude today's session. जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा टू एवरीवन।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत
हरे
प्रणाम।
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा
प्रभु
प्रभु
जी।
जी,
हरे
दंडवत
कृष्णा।
प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा
प्रभु जी,
प्रभु जी,
दंडवत
दंडवत
प्रणाम।
प्रणाम। थैंक यू सो
हरे
मच प्रभु
कृष्ण
जी।
प्रभु जी,
हरे
दंडवत
कृष्णा प्रभु
प्रणाम।
जी।
हरे कृष्णा
हरे
प्रभु जी,
कृष्ण प्रभु जी,
दंडवत
दंडवत
प्रणाम।
प्रणाम।